London is the music capital of the world. Let's have it right. It always has been. We're out on the street, proper acid house warehouse. I got back there at about 3:30. It was rad. I said, what's the band called? He's like, it's the Shamen. I'm like, interesting name. And he'll still be the best DJ, even though he can't even see the records. Lazy, glorified DJ bookers. And not promoters. Illegal situations were my favourite. Because you could really just do what you wanted, and it was proper.
Welcome back to the Loud Unfiltered podcast. We are finally back from Ibiza. Looking a bit tired, but we're back in the studio in London, and we're really excited to launch our new series, Inside London, where we talk to the voices that kind of created club culture within London. Today's guest, I'm super excited to have a chat to, a certified London legend, a pioneer, one of the true architects of probably London and UK club culture. You might know him as the front man of the Shamen. You might know him as a co-founder of the iconic The End nightclub, or you might know him from his label SuperFreak. We're talking about the one and only legendary Mr. C. Welcome to the podcast. How are we doing, mate?
Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. Very good. Just got back from Ibiza, so I'm my brain's a little bit dead, but
a bit fluffy around the edges.
Yeah. That's the exact word to sum it up perfectly. Look, we're super excited to have you on the podcast. I just really want to dive into finding out a bit more about you to our audience, and then really talking about London club culture. Really,
okay, yeah.
That is what this series is all about. So, let's dive into it then. So, you've had a bit of a legendary run in the scene. You've done a lot from club owner to pop star, maybe, to running your own label, from the Shamen to the End. When did you kind of realise music was going to be your life, and when did it all kind of start for you, really?
Yeah, when I realised it was going to actually be my life, probably wasn't until I'd made my first house tune in 1986. But before that, I started writing lyrics and rapping in 1982 when I was 16. Yeah. And I was totally fascinated by it. And I knew then that the music would be my life, but I didn't realise it would be in the way that it was. I thought I would be a rapper and a vocalist.
Right, okay.
And that would be it. That was for me at 16. By the time I was 18, I was rapping in a lot of clubs around London and really starting to push it out there. In 84 and 85, I was the rapper for the LWR Soul Syndicate, which was a pirate station in the 80s.
Okay. I was going to say, have you still got any rhymes?
Yeah, loads. I'm writing new ones all the time. Anyway, so I was a rapper for the LWR Soul Syndicate, and LWR was a soul, funk, disco, reggae, black music station. Yep. And I worked with Ron Tom with the LWR Soul Syndicate, and also with Jasper the Vinyl Junkie, and a little bit with Jazzy M, who was one of the originators of house music as well in London from the mid-80s. So that was where I was at as a rapper. And it wasn't until after I kind of dropped the hip hop go-go sort of disco scene and went 100% house, that I really knew that I wanted to do more than just be a rapper, and that was in 1986.
Yeah, okay. So did you learn to DJ during that period?
Well, I DJ'd.
Rapper, DJing?
Yeah, I DJ'd a few times. I'd fill in for Ron Tom every now and again in 85, at the Cotton Club in Stoke Newington, or if there was a gig he couldn't make because he double booked or something, I'd go and fill in for him. Yep. But I wasn't a DJ, and I never said I was a DJ, and it wasn't a profession. I had a few records because I like disco, I like soul, funk, reggae, dub. I like music, so I did buy some records, but I didn't have a massive collection. I had a couple of boxes full of records that I loved, and I'd go and play them. And they were good quality music. I've always had good taste, so it wasn't until I'd actually made my first record that I said, I need to step up my game, and I want to do more than that. And that came in 86. By that time I was the resident rapper with the legendary Colin Favour, may he rest in peace, at the Camden Palace, and Evil Eddie Richards, who was also the resident. I'd met Colin in 1984, the first time I rapped at the Camden Palace, and he was DJing with Chris Forbes from Capital Radio on that occasion. And so I became the resident rapper at the Camden Palace, and I started working a lot with Tosca on Kiss FM, working at the New Ambassadors. That was 86 in Houston.
Is this DJing?
No, this is as an MC.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and then once I started working with Colin Faver and Eddie invited me in the studio to make a tune. And we made the track Page 67, and I was talking about the power of meditation and the law of attraction on the record.
Right,
Because I got into that at a very young age. And it was at that point I thought, I need to do more, than just make music. I carried on MCing through 86, and then in 87, once the record came out, it was early August 87, I was like, you know what, I really need to sort it out. So I gave up my milk round. I was a milkman.
Oh, really?
So I gave up the milk round. Yeah.
Oh, early mornings always.
Yeah. Well, no, it was great because, like at that time I was clubbing 7 nights a week. In 1986, I would go I'd go and do my milk round. Say like a typical Monday morning would be I'd been up from the night before. It'd be 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd get my overalls on and all that. Go to the yard in Bloomsbury, load up the milk float. And mine was round 1. It was Bloomsbury area. I had the slowest milk float in the whole yard. But I was local, so I didn't have to go very far on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had the slowest milk float in the yard. And I would go out there, knock out my round by 10:30 in the morning, go home, have something to eat, go to bed, sleep from midday till 8, 9 at night, get up, have some food. I'd be out clubbing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, wow.
And it was 7 nights a week.
So it's like in London, there was always somewhere to go.
Always somewhere to go, yeah. Always somewhere to go. There was different things. There was always going to be something on.
Yeah.
Like my favourite night back then, I guess, was Wednesdays were brilliant. Colin Faver, Mark Moore, and Eon, also known as E&B at the time. They were doing Pyramid at Heaven, gay night, house music all night long.
Right, okay.
86, absolutely brilliant. I loved that one. But it was great because I could just, whatever took my fancy, I would go out and do that night. So my, midday till 9 p.m. was nighttime for me. That was my sleep.
Right, okay,
period.
so it's just been in from you from early days.
Yeah. I've always been a raver.
No. And then how did that kind of transition then into being the frontman of the Shamen then, and then into DJing full time?
Once I was DJing before the Shamen. So I started DJing in late summer 87, and I put on a couple of parties it was actually in a council block in North London in Upper Holloway, and my mate Gary D'Souza, he had a 2-bedroom flat in a council block, and he said, yeah, let's do a party in my house. I went, but you've got a council. He said, oh, don't worry, I know everyone. So I went, all right. So I did a party called Fantasy, and I got Eddie Richards, Kid Bachelor, Colin Faver to play the house music, Jazzy M, and then I got Jasper the Vinyl Junkie and Ron Tom to play soul, rare groove, funk, and that. And I had
just in someone's flat.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And I played myself. It was 100 people in the flat, and it kicked right off. So that was like at the beginning of the autumn. And then I did another one in November, and we didn't get away with the second one. The police raided it, and that was the end of it. But then Gary D'Souza and Gary knew the manager at HQ in Camden Lock. So he went to the manager and said, we've got a thing going on. Can we do this, please? And he's like, yeah, all right, we're up for it. So I moved Fantasy into HQ, and it was every second Monday.
Okay, that's random to do it on a Monday.
Yeah, but I didn't want
an audience.
Yeah, but I didn't want. This is very specialist. House music hadn't really taken off.
Right, okay.
There was a couple of big hedonism events before that they were absolutely brilliant. House music all night long, and house had taken off, but it wasn't its own thing, and there wasn't any regular club nights. And I didn't want to do it on a Friday or a Saturday, and you get people that don't get it.
Yeah, okay. So you were
Monday,
looking for the right people to come there and build it from the
exactly.
Bottom up. Right, okay.
HQ only held a couple of hundred people. So, I didn't need much more than that. And it started on the very first Monday of February in 88. And again, I got Colin Faver, I got Eddie Richards and Kid Bachelor and myself on the first one. And I got all these banners done. The girl that I was going out with at the time, she was did fine art and stuff like that. So she painted all these mental psychedelic banners.
Oh, wow. Right,
so we covered the whole place in banners, smoke machine, strobe lights, and off we went, acid house. And then a guy came down. His name was Paul Stone, also known as Paul Rip, and he was responsible for the rip parties at Clink Street.
Right,
And
okay.
that was where rave culture was truly born.
Right, I love
But
getting
he-
all this history.
so he came
It's
down
amazing.
and he was like, oh, yeah, like, come and spoke to me. He said, yeah, I was wanted to chat with you. I'm like, what's that? He said, well, I came down here. I'm actually putting on a party and I was looking for Kid Bachelor. And I'm like, oh, all right, yeah. He said, I wanted to talk to you first because I don't just want to poach your DJs. I'm like, look, I'm a DJ myself.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, I didn't know you was a DJ. I thought you was just a rapper and now a promoter. I went, no, I'm also a DJ. Right, so I'm just blagging it, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I said, look, if you want to do something, why don't you get the whole crew? Well, get Eddie and, you know, Kid and myself and
Yeah.
like, let's do it. And he's gone, all right, great. And it was in April was the first rip. And that was in Eversholt Street opposite Euston Station.
Right. I love it how you
In a little-
remember all
it
the
was in
exact street.
yeah, a little
everything.
basement in that we did. So there was a couple of rip parties in there and they were mental. It was like all night affairs. And then he moved on to Clink Street. He got Clink Street in London Bridge. And then it kind of went from there. And it was funny because the first one, I think it was probably around May. It was in May, end of May. And we're there and it's like, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning and there's no one there. You know, no one's turned up. There's, you know, about 20 people in there. And like, so Paul's now panicking, like, there's no one here. And I'm like, look, I'll go. Right, so we got grounded up a couple of my mates that I was with, a few of our mates.
Yep.
We went down the West End and we were like, acid house, we're throwing flyers in the air, noising up the streets. Yeah, we just went out and, you know, for guerrilla tactics. You know, we're out on the street, proper acid house warehouse, giving flyers to everyone, creating loads of noise. I got back there at about 3:30. It was rad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. It was,
It was absolutely rad.
First experience of Acid House. If you kind of went out there and like threw it open to the public a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there was people that knew, but like
Yeah.
I say, the hedonism parties were like 1,000 people events.
Right, okay.
There was one at the end of '87 and two in early '88, and they were probably the very first big, like all night long acid house.
Did you feel like, because this comes back to the London scene where it's kind of started from, did you feel like there was a movement like kind of starting?
yeah,
and
no,
growing
this
and you
movement,
were the, like the kind of involved at the kind of at the front line?
Well, yeah, the movement started probably around '85, early '86, but it was mixed. Like you would like all the warehouse parties that were going on, like, you know, Family Function was Judge Jules's parties.
Yeah.
Shake and Finger Pop was Norman Jay's. You had Soul to Soul. You had the Boiler House guys. The Boiler House guys. And like there was the Do at the Zoo. There was Delirium. There was all these events going on in '86 and '87, and they all featured house music, but it wasn't a house music event. So you'd have rare groove, you'd have disco, and then you'd have some house. But the house thing was really sort of starting to get buzzy. So people that wanted to hear house music all night long in '86, like me, would go to the Mud Club. Philip Salon put that on and listen to Colin Faver and Mark Moore, or like Pyramid again, Colin Faver, Mark Moore, Ian B, and we'd go to those things, and they were mostly gay, but that was all night. It was just having it, all night long, and there would be like all the house heads would go. So you'd go to Pyramid, and there'd be like, you know, heaven, 2,000 people in there packed to the rafters every Wednesday, and you'd probably have 300 or 400 straight people and 1,500 like gay people, and it would just kick off. It was just be going mental. It would go right off, yeah. So the movement was already building. The house heads knew where we had to go to get our music, and so it was inevitable that it would cross over into the straight scene because we were already in there doing it.
Yeah, we're already doing it. All right, okay, all right. Just kind of moving on to obviously you mentioned lots of different clubs that you kind of went to. That, I mean, do any of them still exist?
No,
now?
none of them.
Apart from Heaven that you mentioned, maybe.
Well, yeah, Heaven's there. Yeah, the WAG Club, is that still there? No, that's gone. No.
What did you call it? The
WAG.
Oh, I thought you called it the WAG.
The WAG. That was a famous club in Wardour Street.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
They put on a few house nights as well in '88 and that.
Yeah.
But that was more predominantly rare groove and disco nightclub.
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of want to get into sort of you as a club owner as well. So when
that came considerably later.
I was going to say when did you kind of get involved in the end, and where did that kind of come from?
Well, we did the Clink Street. I mean, Clink Street in '88. I was the resident DJ and street promoter. Then in 1989, we moved into the Dungeons in Leabridge Road, also legendary in London. We did that every Saturday, and it was called Bass. And that was the same crew, pretty much. Eddie Richards, Colin Faver, Kid Bachelor, people like Richard Gray, Jazzy M, Frankie Fonsett, Frankie Valentine, all the originals were all in there having a go. And then in 1990 was a bit of a strange year. There was lots of little one-offs, but it started getting really ragga. At that point, the rave scene started really kicking off.
Yep.
Things started moving like in 89 and 90, these big M25 orbital events. I DJ'd at pretty much all of them, but never really done more than 2 of any of them because it wasn't really me. That really big, it lost its intimacy and it lost its cutting edge.
Well, okay, you prefer the club stuff.
The clubs or warehouses. Warehouses.
Raves,
illegal situations were my favourite because you could really just do what you wanted, and it was proper. So these big ones, everyone was playing the same tunes, the ones with the biggest bass lines and the ones that everyone knew. So it was already, for me, losing it. Rave music, so it weren't really for me. So that happened. I started my release parties in 1991 in Shoreditch, and I'd done a string of parties in this loft right on Shoreditch High Street. 300 people, 400 people loft space.
So do you know what it is now?
Offices.
Really?
It's right there on Shoreditch High Street. I've got no clue what it is now.
Sorry, do you sometimes walk through like London and go, oh, I used to do a party?
Yeah, I mean, it was
now it's like
not unlike this, bit of a higher ceiling, but this is this of what the space was like this offices situation, So I did that in 91, all through 91. And a bit of 90 and 91. And then things started getting really busy with the Shamen. Now, I'd already, with the Shamen moved down to London in 1988 because the manager, Charles Kosh, moved down from Glasgow to get the band a publishing deal and a record label deal. Yeah. So while he was down here, he stumbled across us lot at Clink Street. The acid house.
So he found you in a party?
Yeah, heard about this warehouse party, came along, saw what we were all doing and was blown away. Like everybody that came to Clink Street was blown away. There was no exceptions to that.
Right, okay. Right,
and he was just like, oh, wow, this is mental. This is proper psychedelic. This is mental. And so he got straight onto the band and said, look, you got to come and check out this new thing going on in London. Right, okay. It's called like Acid House. You got to come and check it out. They're like, well, what's that? They said, well, come and check it out. You're a psychedelic, man. You need to see this. So the boys come down, came to Clink Street to rip, and never left. That was it. They were like, that was it. They squatted, squatted. That was it. They stayed, and then they changed their blueprint pretty much immediately from psychedelic rock to acid house. They got Bam Bam to do a remix. Who done Where's Your Child? They got Eddie Richards to do a remix.
Right. Okay. Amazing.
And then in '89, they was recording a track called Move Any Mountain, and the manager got in contact with me. I'd already DJ'd for the manager in '88. He put on 2 little warehouse parties himself, because he loved it so much.
Yeah.
Got me to DJ.
Okay, so he started doing his own ones as well.
That was in Whitechapel, just up the road from here. Right, so I did a couple of warehouse parties in '88 with him in Whitechapel, so I knew him anyway. And I'd met the boys, but didn't really pay much attention. You just meet so many people, Yeah. And then in '89, Charles has got to me. I've got a band that I'm managing, and I'd love you to come. We'd love you to come and do a rap on it. I said, "Oh, what's the band called?" He's like, "Oh, it's the Shamen." I'm like, "Oh, interesting name." I'd already read Carlos Castaneda's The Yakai Way of Knowledge, and I was already quite versed in shamanism and what shamans are and all the rest of it. Yeah. So I thought, oh, that's an interesting name, the Shamen. And what's the track called? He said, oh, Move Any Mountain. I said, oh, yeah, that's interesting. What's that about? He said, it's about being able to move any mountain. I said, well, that's right up my street because, I was like into meditation and the law of attraction.
So you've always been into
I started meditating in 1983 when I was 17. So I was already a meditator and already in. So I'm like, all right, this is all interesting. And I listened to the track and I was like, it was, to me, it sounded like white alternative, like that post-punk electronica, which was never really my bag. I'm not going to lie, I'm a disco baby.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean? I'm into black music. So even though I did appreciate some post-punk electronica, because I quite like punk and I like ska and I like reggae, and the post-punk electronica was pretty decent, some of it, but it wasn't my bag. And I was always a bit white. And I spoke to him, I said, oh, look, I'm up for doing it, right? But you need to let me do a remix as well. A proper house.
Right, okay, all right.
So I did a deep house version called the C-Mix of Progen, Move Any Mountain, and I did the rap, and that was me on board as a guest MC and a guest remixer. I did a few gigs with the Shamen in 1990, but a lot of the time they asked me to come and MC and perform the song at their concerts.
Yeah,
but they was offering me 50 quid. I was getting paid. I was getting paid 150 quid to go and DJ. Do you know what I mean? And that was a lot of money in 1989, and I was 1990 by this time. Yeah. So I was getting 150, 200 quid. And I'm like, so hold on, you want me to not go and to do this for 200 quid, but you only want to pay me 50 quid? I'm sorry, mate. When you can come back and pay me a living, because I've given up my day job now, I've got to buy records, I've got to give my mum a bit of money for food, I've got to, I'm from a poor working class family in Holloway, I ain't got money, I ain't got a silver spoon, like, how am I going to survive? So a lot of those gigs I couldn't do. And they also had another MC, brilliant rapper, and they're called Lex Icon or Lexicon, and he rapped on the Make It Mine song, so he would do my raps for me, or Colin would do my raps when in my absence, and that carried on into 1991. And Move Any Mountain originally got to number 53 in the pop charts, and then after that came Make It Mine, and that got a bit higher, and then Hyperreal got a bit higher, and then it was like, oh, let's redo the video for Move Any Mountain, same pop mix, done by the Beatmasters.
Yeah.
So we did another video, and then we shot that in May 91, and it was at that point Will Sinnott and Colin Angus both asked me to join the band as a full member, because they could see the value. I wasn't just a rapper. I was a performer, I was a front man, I was a songwriter, I was a producer, I was a house, already one of the main names in house music by this time. So they knew that it was a good thing, because I was dedicated to what I was doing. So I as a DJ, I'd blown up. I was playing at all the best parties and raves and everything. So they asked me to come on board, and I said, well, yes, but like, you got to cut me in on the right percentage, and I want escalations with each album and all the rest of it. And they went, all right then. I said, sweet, well, now that I'm on a percentage, I'll come and do the gigs for 50 quid.
Oh, right, okay, because you were making money off the records.
But that soon went up. Because obviously Move Any Mountain became a pop hit. It got to number 5.
Oh, really? Oh, right, okay, all right, wow.
And it went from there. So I did that. So because of the Shamen kicked off, I was now too busy.
DJing and like doing
yes. Well, also Will Sinnott died at the end of the Move Any Mountain video shoot. He drowned off the coast of La Gomera in the Canary Islands, which shot the video in Tenerife, and then went at the end of it, he went over to Gran Canaria with his girl and got pulled under by the undercurrent of the Atlantic. Got him. And the band was gonna close at that point, but Colin Angus was inundated with letters from fans around the world, and like saying, this is such an important band. The message was all about unity. It was about helping people. It was very socialist, very left wing. The band was about psychedelics, the human evolution, the human journey into the world of psychedelia, and so it all fitted with what I was into. Now. Because of that, Colin said, well, Richard, do you want to carry on? I said, yeah, if you want to do it, I'll do it with you. Plavka Lonok, who sung Hyperreal, she went on to sing for Jam and Spoon. She said, no, I'm out. So we had to then go about getting another singer, but then we started writing the Boss Drum album. But now at this point, rewinding, now I'm busy. So I didn't have the time to be putting on the release parties that I was putting on, which I did with the legendary Nathan Coles from Wiggle. May Nathan rest in peace. He was one of my besties, because I was good mates with him before he was even a DJ. He was the first person to put on Richie Hawtin Sporting in London back in
Yeah,
1990.
I've worked with him a couple of
Right,
times.
so
He's an absolute
Nathan's
legend,
an
yeah.
absolute legend. So he was just a promoter at that time, and so that, like, as that built up, I just didn't have the time. So I pulled out, and he then teamed up with Gary Dillon, and they changed it from Release to Release the Pressure, which became pretty big.
Right.
And then they had a record shop, Release the Pressure, etc. But that all came out of my release parties.
Right, okay.
So that was 91, 92. By 92, my addiction to putting on parties is well and truly kicking in. I've got withdrawal,
You're loving it.
withdrawal symptoms because I ain't done any. So, like, I've started once 92 come, and I got some money. Come in. Well, I did. Well, even before the money, I started the harmony parties, and they were a bit more deeper house. And I did those.
You're different. You change the names of your parties
every year.
Every year.
Yeah, so they would get
different places.
Well, release the last release parties were like 700-800 people, and it was too big for me as well. And that was one of the reasons I was like, you know what, let's just pull back. And Nathan took it on, and
just to keep it underground,
keep it fresh,
keep it fresh, and
exactly. So I then moved on, and I did the harmony parties, but immediately fought 500 people straight away because they know it's me, So I did the harmony parties with a guy called Paul Francis, and he was DJing in the early 90s under the name Unique. Amazing DJ, proper deep house music, proper head, still one of my best mates today. And so we did the harmony parties in 92, and then at the end of 92 I got my first paycheck from the Shamen, and was like, okay, sweet, right, I've now got a bit of money. I built a recording studio, started the record label Plink Plonk, which is one of the seminal techno record labels in England in the 90s, in the early 90s. And what I would do is I would get all my mates and DJs to come into the studio and learn. I'd have first class engineers. I had Ian Tregonning, he engineered for Yellow. I had Jono Podmore. I had Michelle Spiegel, otherwise known as New Idol. Jono Podmore was Kumo. So I had these three genius engineers, and then I would have them come in and have people work. Like Bushwhacker was coming to learn in my studio.
Oh, right, okay.
He learned in my studio.
Is that where that relationship started with those guys?
Oh, well, I knew Matthew anyway from the rave scene. But with Matthew, he was part of the jungle scene when it was getting a bit aggressive in 91. Right. And I said to him, now, come on, we'll take you back into the acid house scene. Come this way.
It's nice and friendly.
And brought him back in that way.
Right, okay.
So that was when he started working in the studio. And it was my mate Paul Rip that called him Bushwhacker because he was called Matthew B. But we never let anyone on the Plink Plonk label use their real name. Right, so we had Roland McGinty from the Wooden Tops. We had myself. We had Matthew B. We had Laggy, who became Hijacker and Megalon. We had like all these different people. We had Stacey Pullen under the name Cosmic Messenger.
Oh, really?
We had Eric Carter under the name Tone Theory. We had all these people. We never let.
It was all about the music.
It was all about the music. You never knew who anyone was. Everyone had to work under a different name.
I love that.
It leveled the playing field. Yeah. Amazing artwork. So once the label started, I then started putting on the next lot of parties, which were the Drop, which was Plink Plonk Drops.
Right,
So I did a party called The Drop with Paul Rip, and we did that in the music
house.
Just
the evolution, even the names are changing as well.
We did that in Farringdon Road through 93. Yeah. And then after that, in 94, we switched it up and we did a Vapor Space. We started that off at a little club in Holborn, and then we moved to the site in Kensington. And then the last ones we did in summer 95 were at the Fridge in Brixton. It just went bing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like that.
I remember the Fridge.
And then we opened the end at the end of 95. But I have to rewind 2 years to 1993, and Leo, he was also putting on little parties, and I DJ'd for him when he was doing his degree up in Norwich. He was doing parties every week in Norwich, turning them on while he's doing his English lit degree.
Oh, right, wow.
So, I'm going up there and working with Leo, and Paul Unique would DJ up there, Hijacker, all the old crew would go up there and DJ for Leo. He was part of the crew. Yep. And Leo was talking to Paul, and he's like, my dad has just been commissioned to do a job. His dad was one of the best architects in London.
Right, okay.
From a company called PKS, Paskin, Carides and Sands. And PKS, they did that boat-looking restaurant on Putney Bridge. They did
Right,
all
okay.
these great things. And he's like, all right, I've been commissioned to do something with this building, and they want to turn it into some sort of a space that maybe can be used for something. And Leo was like, oh, this is like, let's have a look at it. He said, can we do it? And he's like, no, don't be stupid. This is going to cost a couple of million. We ain't got
All
that
right.
sort of money. Right. Like Leo's talking to Paul Francis, and he said, have you spoken to Richie? He's gone, no. He said, talk to Richard. So Leo's called me up. It's Richard, I want to chat with you. I'm like, what's that? He said, I've got a possible venue. I'm like, oh, yeah. Venue? Let me have a look.
Yeah, go on, let's have a look.
Let's have a look. Right. So I've gone and had a look with him, and it was these tunnels. There was 3 tunnels going like that next to each other.
Yeah.
But where,
in the central of London, isn't it?
yeah, and where the tunnels went, like, started to curve up from the straight wall was here. So it was a bit too low. You couldn't do anything with them. And each tunnel would hold like maybe 300 in each tunnel, maybe a little bit more, like long tunnels. And the only way through was right at the one end. There was like a breakthrough where you could, like, there's like a doorway, almost like a hall where you could go into one tunnel, the next tunnel, or the next tunnel.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, it's not really nothing we can do with. And we're chatting, and we're like, well, he said, is there any way you could make it work? And the lounge area, if you turned right into the lounge, even though it was a basement, you could see the sky. There was no roof, you could see the sky.
Right, okay.
It was like, and I'm like, well, not really. I said, if the only way to make this work would be if the ceiling was higher, and these tunnels had breakthroughs to become one thing, then it would work, but that's a big project. So, like, he's gone, well, would you be up for getting involved in it? I said, well, I don't know. How much is it going to cost? So we went down that road, and he spoke to his dad, and his dad said, well, like, no, I don't think we can do it because of the money. So then,
a lot of work would
and
have
the
to be
work.
done, yeah.
I mean, he said, hey, he's been commissioned to do a job anyway. I've been asked to think about doing a job, but then they've got to find out people who are going to take it over to do it. So I've gone, all right, look, how much do we need? And he said, well, the banks have said whatever we raise, they'll match. Right. So I went, okay. All right, I can put in some money, and I've got friends that can put in some money. And, Colin Angus from the Shamen put some money in. My girlfriend's mum put some money in.
Wow. All right.
Like, people we knew put money in. I put a big chunk in. And then Leo's had some friends that could put money in. And then we met people like Tim Fielding put some money in.
Okay, so there's a lot of you.
We got a whole load of us.
Brilliant.
And we all put money in, and we raised it, and then the bank matched it, and we started to build. We overspent. We spent 50% more. We spent 50-60% more than what we had, maybe more, even more than that. But we still did it, and we got it done.
Yeah,
and we ended up with the best venue in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say, was the original vision that you had with the club, how close were you actually kind of realising that over the years?
Oh well, no. Once we realised that we were doing it, it was meticulously planned.
Yeah,
like everything down to the hydraulics under the wooden floor, so your legs didn't hurt at 7 a.m. The free drinking water fountain, the air conditioning.
That's probably the first thing thing now,
and everything, like even the toilets. Like, what stops people being able to take a dump? Oh, there's idiots sniffing in there. Right. So how do we get around this problem? All right. Well, what we do is we put a little shelf on the wall. Yeah. And that way, and we only allow one person in the toilet at a time, and have the toilets attended with someone keeping them clean, giving perfumes, like copying the upmarket thing. So we were one of the first clubs to do that on a dance music level. But what that meant was that there was no one. Only 2 people went in there. It should be only one allowed. Well, if there's only one person in there, what are they going to do?
Yeah,
they're going to do their gear. They're going to get out, and then someone who needs a shit can.
Yeah.
That's what the plan was. So we did that, and it worked a treat. Everything worked. Like the water, people would say, "Oh, you're going to lose money from not selling water," and people would go and buy a water and then use the bottle to fill up their.
Yeah, go and fill it up.
So
Yeah, so
we
they
were
had
still
it.
selling water,
Yeah.
and people would be hydrated, and they would drink more alcohol.
Yeah, that's
because they're more hydrated.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a weird, we just was smart about it. We didn't
even
leave
to that detail.
every
of, like,
detail.
yeah.
We wanted the best sound system that London had ever heard. We wanted the amazing lighting. We wanted friendly security. We wanted really good drinks that were cold with ice. You'd go to clubs like dance music clubs, acid house clubs, whatever, and there would be like the drinks didn't even have ice in them. Like you go to the toilet,
things that you wouldn't even think about nowadays.
yeah, you go to the toilet, and then the taps are off, so that people weren't filling up water.
Oh, right.
It was just nonsense. So we looked at all the things. We don't want it to be like that. We don't want it to. So we based it on things that we didn't want.
Yeah, okay.
As much as things that we did want.
Yeah, of course.
We don't want shit sound. We don't want moody security. We don't want shitty drinks. We don't want to be uncomfortable and have no seating. We don't want, and that was how we built the club.
Yeah.
So that was
and that's why people would come back, because they've seen the little things.
It was hard. That first year when we opened it in December 95, and 96, I'm not going to lie, was a struggle. The warehouse culture were like, oh, this is a posh London nightclub.
Right, okay.
So they weren't sure. Can we smoke joints in there? Can we do what we want in there like we can in your warehouse parties?
Yeah.
Can we, is it free to go act as you please?
Yeah.
And we were like, well, just be sensible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it took a couple of years for it to really kick in. We stuck to our guns musically, because Leo and I always said no cheese, right? So that meant we're doing house, deep house, acid house, tech house, techno, breaks, drum and bass.
Were you involved in the booking side of it and the programming side of it as well? Yeah.
So we went down that and we didn't come away from it. We stayed away from trance, progressive, happy hardcore, cheese. Any cheese was a no.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and we stuck to our guns.
Yeah, that's good.
And it really didn't. The business was tough. It was really hard, and we was like worried at one point. Are we going to get through this? And then Chloe's sister Zoe got involved. Leo's sister Zoe got involved, and she had already been managing a bar in Barcelona, and she kind of knew her stuff, and she came in and she came and would crack the whip, and got the whole office ship shape and got everything that we was running ship shape, and that freed Leo up to do his thing. It freed me up to do my thing. I was actually able to even take more of a step back at that point.
Yeah, then look at it from a different
focus on the label, focus on my music, and it started to slowly turn around, and then all of a sudden it just went bang and it exploded and people got it.
Was there, what I was going to say, was there a moment like that, or an artist or someone where it kind of, when it changed from?
Not really a moment. I mean, like,
it was just a gradual thing.
I mean, right from the off, I did my night Subterrane. That was the flagship night. At the end, DTPM was on a Sunday. That was gay. That saved us.
Yeah,
because the gay, it was rammed, and the gay community came and they spent money. But some of the Fridays were struggling. Some of the Saturdays were okay and needed to get better. But as it built, as the Subterrane built, as it was one of the best tech house nights ever. Yeah. Before tech house became cheesy. It was hybrids of house and techno and deep, and it was a very loose term with very positive connotations, in that you could play breaks, deep house, acid house, funky techno, electro, anything went. And in that, it was almost like the last bastion of acid house. Right, okay. Tech house was. At that point. Now it's deep tech and minimal. It's the same vibe.
Different names now.
So we moved on, and then it kicked off.
Yeah. One last thing on the end is because then I really want to get into how the London scene has changed. Yeah. Get your opinion on that. I was like, is there one moment that you remember and you can still think about it, like one party that still gives you chills, or still your hair's
There's
down on the end,
loads.
or was it
Oh
just the
God,
whole
there's
thing?
loads. I mean,
Yeah,
the closing of the end, because we're 30 years old this year, if we'd have stayed open, and the closing of the end was in January, the end of January 23rd, 2009, and that is by far and away the very best party I've ever been to in my entire life.
really
Nothing
amazing.
even comes close. Nothing. And I've been to it. I was,
I think I actually went to it. Yeah,
I was.
I just started my clubbing around then.
Yeah, I was at all the best parties, all the closing parties of Ibiza, DJing in the very best nightclubs around the world. I was at the closing party of Industry in Toronto. I was at, all these amazing events.
Yeah.
Twilo in New York. Nothing quite compared to that party. But every anniversary we did was amazing. Like we did a benefit night for a DJ Armando from Chicago when he died of leukemia. May he also rest in peace. And we raised a load of money for his family to help with the funeral. And we had Coxie, Emerson, all playing, all doing back-to-back sets. That'll live with me forever.
Yeah. It's very free and people just come up and
a lot of the New Year's parties were always amazing. Subterrane, week in, week out, where it was for me one of the best club nights that ever existed in London.
Right, okay.
I would have resident with Murph in the main room. Murph is still my favourite DJ to this day, and a lot of people don't even know him.
I don't know.
Well, he doesn't put his name on records. He uses other names. And Murph, it doesn't get any better. He'll go seamlessly between house, acid, techno, electro, breaks. Yeah, he and I together were residents, and we'd have big name guests with us, but we would play back to back and close it out. He was the only DJ that I really want. Eddie Richards was one I could play back to back with, but Murph. Absolute genius at Don Gargon of the decks. Murph Warham is genius.
Do you play together still?
Not often. He doesn't do many gigs. He's in and out of hospital. He's 90% blind in one eye, but he still comes, and he'll still come to a gig and play, and he'll still be the best DJ, even though he can't even see the records. He's unbelievable, and he'll still do it now to this day. You listen to him, he will blow your mind every time. Okay. Like you'll be just like, oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Cutting edge, underground, sexy, unbelievable.
I mean, that was the next question. Just how your reaction there. Do you still get excited about records or old records and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Even you find or
yeah, of course I do. Well, I still love DJing as much as I ever did. I don't like everything else that goes with it anymore because I'm getting on. I'll be 60 in a few months, and the rest of it, like the travel, the trawling through shitty generic music, drives me mad. It really does. Like going through promos is like my worst idea of a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? It's just like really, and I do it sometimes, but I pick up my stuff off my mates and off people I know because I know what I'm getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and they know what you're into as well.
They know what I'm into, and also I champion my own sound, like the sound of SuperFreak.
Yeah, this is what I was going to ask you about the label.
It's my sound.
That a little bit,
Yeah, so I champion that sound, and people make tunes that they think, that'll fit Richard, and they say, hey, Rich, what do you think of this? And I go, I like that, and that'll be in my set.
Right,
and if I like it that much, I'll release it.
Right, okay, all right, great. Yeah.
So, I've got a very specific sound. Again, it's what I regard as one of the last bastions of acid house.
Right,
I play deep house, acid house, tech house, deep tech, minimal, techno, funky techno, electro, breaks. And I play all of that, but it's got to be deep. Yeah. It's got to be dark. It's got to be mischievous and naughty. It's got to be trippy. It's got to have some sort of psychedelicness to it.
Right, okay.
So all of those restrictions make all of those genres one thing.
Yeah.
Which is what the original tech house was.
Yeah.
And I still do that. But my sound is very unique to me. Yeah. It's very acid. It's very acid.
I think you've kind of almost built a brand around that people know that what your sound is and and who you are and what you stand for, which I think is brilliant. It's amazing. I just really want to get onto a bit about the London scene now. Obviously, we talk about the whole history of that from when you first started through to the end and stuff like that. Like, you've seen the London scene sort of morph in lots of different ways. Like, I'm actually going to ask you where do you think it is like right now? Do you still go out? And I know you still put on some parties, but where do you think the London scene is right now? There's been a lot of changes.
It takes a lot to get me out.
Yeah.
The problem it being is that most DJs are generic.
Yeah.
And I can't be dealing with it. I get bored. I get bored shitless. So I go out and it's that again. Oh yeah, and even new tunes I've never heard, and I'm like, oh, really? Is that it? Is that it? What about something a bit more exciting, a bit more dangerous, a bit mischievous, a bit of naughtiness?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
So it kind of just bores you.
It bores, yeah,
Bores you a
it
little
bores
bit.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where I go. I mean, if Wiggles on, I'll go. Or if there's something like I do my own SuperFreak parties. They're great. I'm really excited about the end 30th anniversary.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, yeah.
There's certain things, like
where's that? That's at Coco's.
That's at Coco. Yeah. We did our 25th anniversary 3 years ago at Coco. It was me, Leo Bushwhacker, and Laurent Garnier.
Oh wow,
and that was fun. That was just the one night of it. And our 25th anniversary was actually in 2020, but obviously no one was allowed to go and dance.
Oh right, yeah, of course.
So we couldn't do that in 2020. 2021, we didn't organise it because it was still all locked down. And then by the time they opened up, it was going to be 22 before we got our 25th anniversary party.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So we did that. That was wicked. But with the underground, there are still little things going on.
That's what I was going to say.
Little clubs.
You've got to go and find them.
Yeah, there's Club 90. There's little venues. There's different things going on. I do my SuperFreak parties now, usually in the daytime. I use a little venue in London Bridge. It's just that Leek Street.
Yeah,
where they got all the graffiti. Waterloo. Yeah,
I know the one. Yeah.
So there's a little club there I use, and it's great. It's just got like 360 visuals. And,
I know the one you mean. Yeah, wicked little space.
Yeah, wicked little space. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I also did not the last anniversary, the one before. I used a club called London East. Bow Bridge. Bow Bridge near Bow, and that's a beautiful venue. One room for 250, one room for 150. Void sound system, and they loved it. That's owned by one of the owners of 338.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know the one you mean. Yeah, just off the motorway.
Great little venue.
Right. Yeah.
I did, and then just before that, I did a couple of parties at London East that all shipping containers.
Yeah, the open air thing. Yeah. Nice.
That was brilliant as well. And there are one-off events. I really like what the Cause is doing.
Yep, they seem to have the ethos right.
They do
about what they do.
And every now and again they'll put something on where I'll go, I want to go to that. I haven't been there.
I was going to say, do you still get excited about?
Well, yeah, I got excited when Danny Tenaglia was playing.
Right, okay.
So I went to see Danny play.
Yeah,
that was absolutely brilliant. I really like what Fold are doing.
Yeah, okay.
They're very specialist techno club.
Yeah.
I did a couple of SuperFreak parties there a couple of 4 years ago when it just opened.
Yeah.
I really like what they're doing, and there are lots of little pockets of underground things that are happening, and there are good underground DJs, and you'll get like weird little boat parties on a barge and weird little illegal things here like going off. So there's still a bubbling underground scene, which is more likely what's to catch me than anything with big names on. Because all the big name stuff kind of generally grates my nerves a bit, just because of the way people sell out. And it, getting back
money
to,
talks.
Well, it does, and it's difficult. Doing the end reunion, that was so difficult to book, and Leo booked it, and he worked with Ben Turner on booking that, and they done a brilliant job. They managed to secure Richie Horton for the Friday night. Richie is one of those. He's not going to play generic nonsense. He's going to come through, and there are times when it gets a bit normal, but he's the one if out of anyone, he's going to take it a bit deeper and a bit more challenging. And then so he's playing with Leo and Bushwhacker on that Friday. That's going to be a good night.
Yeah.
And then we managed to get Danny Tenaglia for the Saturday.
Oh wow!
House night.
Danny, one of your favourites.
I'll be on before Danny.
Oh, right, amazing.
So that's
brilliant.
Going to work a treat.
Oh, so it's a weekender.
And Sunday as well.
Oh right, okay.
On the Sunday, we've got Fabio and Groove Rider, and we're allowed to announce it now. The weekend's gone. Andy C.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Right. So,
that's a right weekend. So
it's techno on the Friday, house on the Saturday, and drum and bass Sunday day. We're going 3 till 10.
Oh, right,
with
okay.
that one on the Sunday. I'll be at all three jumping about like a grasshopper.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yes, that's going to be great. That's at Coco. There are still a few tickets left at the higher echelon of release prices. So, all the cheap tickets, we was doing this ones that started up with like 12, 13 quid or something like
Oh,
that.
right, okay. Well,
So,
that's good,
obviously
though,
you got to
yeah.
help people. People are like crying, oh, tickets are now 48 quid. We're like, oh, you should have set your alarm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what
we
it is.
can't let everyone in the 15 quid.
Yeah, no, I
It's
get it.
not
I
going
mean,
to happen.
that kind of, that's what I was saying. But I mean, like you've done a lot of events, a lot, you promoted a lot of nights. What would you say to like today's promoters or club owners that when they're trying to build something
Yeah,
that's going to last,
it's the
not
whole.
someone flashing
It's a
pan
real
now.
challenge.
Yeah, what would your
Now.
advice be?
I'm now my SuperFreak parties. I was doing 4 times a year, but now I'm down to once. I'm like, it's just too much, too difficult. S- the billionaire class has completely ruined dance music culture, with the way that everyone is now living hand to mouth. People have got no money. People can't afford
Yeah.
food. People are going to food banks. Yeah, we've been rinsed out dry by the right-wing billionaires. Yeah, and they're the same people that are taking over the clubs now. And they're they don't care. Let's make something look a bit like a warehouse. Let's make it feel a little bit like it's sort of credible, and then put loads of flashy lights and like stuff on it, and charge people 30 quid, 40 quid to get in, and charge 15 quid a drink. No, that's not what it's about.
Yeah, well, it never was about that, was it? Yeah.
For me, like that whole, millionaire and billionaire class have hijacked the scene, and it isn't what it is today. And that's why I don't like most of what's going on. It's not for me.
Yeah.
It's all about money. And that's not what this should be about.
Yeah, I was going to say, how, like, some advice for, like, what would be something that you say to build something credible and
do something
last?
small. Keep it small. 200, 300 people. Find a nice little venue where like you can get the bar as well, and you can give them like work on something, or at least like get them to give you a deal where if they take a certain bar take, you don't have to pay anything for the venue. Like find little deals where you can support the underground, where you can get away with charging even with a big name, because some big names are not commercial big names. To me, you got your commercial big names. They want 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand. And then you've got underground big names that will still come and play for 1,500 quid or 2,000 or 2,500. If you can book a DJ to come in for 1,500 quid because they're into the music and they're into the scene, and there are still quite a few of those about, where you can get them. They're not all greedy. And if you can get those ones to come in and play for a reasonable price, you can keep your door price down to 20, 25 quid instead of 40s,
and
like when I do my SuperFreak parties, I'll do an early bird for 15 quid. Yeah. But you've got to get in early. You can't just buy an early bird. You've got to be there early.
All right. Yeah.
You got to be in before a certain time.
All right. Okay. All right. So even when you come to the club.
Yes.
All right. Okay. I like that. Yeah.
Right, so if you want to come in for 15 quid, like if I do an all dayer, and it goes from 2 till midnight, if you pay in 15 quid, you've got to be in before 4 o'clock.
Okay, I quite like that.
Yeah.
You build.
So if you want to come in cheaply, come in, but come and help support the party.
Yeah,
come and get it, and then I'll do a 20 quid tier, and then I won't go over 25 sols.
Okay.
For my SuperFreak parties.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I'm not booking Richie Houghton and Laurent Garnier and Danny Tenaglia.
Yeah.
I'm getting friends that, like my last SuperFreak party in London, I had John Aquaviva.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah. What a DJ, what a man. And he come and did it for an affordable price for us. And like the year before I had Josh Wink for the anniversary.
Okay, amazing.
He's a mate.
Yeah.
So he'll come and do something for me because he knows it's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
He knows it's going to be a special thing.
Yeah, and he'll enjoy it as well.
That's for me the way it should be. So if you're going to do parties, if you're going to book the bigger names, book bigger names that are relevant. Book bigger names that are going to be affordable, and also learn how to be a promoter. This is a problem with today. People are not promoters anymore. They're glorified booking agents.
Right, okay.
They're bookers, DJ bookers. No. How about finding out what the DJ that you want does, or if you like want a DJ, you want them because you know they're good,
Yeah.
you know they've got a great label, you know they're putting out great music. So why not promote them, promote their label, promote their music, put their mixes out?
Yeah.
You know, do proper street promotion, get it out there, do it properly.
So the audience understands who they are.
Well,
as well.
well, that's
what
it.
is, yeah.
Put it out there. You know, like some people might not know who this person is or that person is, but if you say, well, like, oh, they did this record. Oh, I've heard that. Oh, was that him? Oh, really? Oh, now they're interested.
Right, okay.
But if you don't promote them, how are they going to know that
Sometimes
random tune that you heard on the dance floor where you went, oh, God, this is amazing, never knew what it was.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're hearing it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
You're hearing it. You're saying, oh, and you've got a name and you can see a record label.
Yeah.
That's called promoting.
Yeah.
And there's not many promoters about these days. Everyone wants the fast buck. Everyone's become lazy. And that's another part of the degradation of our scene is lazy, glorified DJ bookers. And not promoters.
Amazing. I can't wait to zip that up and put that out. That's brilliant. I think you've summed it up absolutely perfectly of where the current scene is currently at. Absolutely perfect. I think just the last question, just to bring it back to London, is like, how do you think clubbing and kind of electronic music have kind of played a role in this kind of our city's identity and sort of cultural identity?
Well, London is the music capital of the world. Let's have it right.
Yeah.
It always has been. You know, like disco songs were coming out in New York and being played in the Paradise Garage and getting into the top 10 of the pop charts in England.
Yeah.
Because we were disco babies, you know, we were getting down, you know, and that's London. You know, when house music kicked in, you know, we were in 1987 going to mental warehouse parties like Hedonism with 1,000 people losing their minds, while people in Chicago were playing in little gay clubs and not knowing what was going on with their music.
Yeah.
You know, London is the music capital of the world.
And do you still think it is today?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's still like talent here. I guess, you know, Berlin could try and make a little claim on it, but they're very narrow. It's either minimal or take the highway, you know.
Okay.
What about deep house? There's some. What about drum and bass? There's some. Not like London. London is deep house, drum and bass, breaks, techno, tech house.
Yeah, there's everything. Yeah.
There's everything. And that's because it's London.
Yeah.
And that's the way London will always be. You know, New York has got it. LA has got it. Sao Paulo's got it. There's lots of cities that have got it, but nothing's quite like London. It's as good as it gets right here. And it will always continue to reinvent itself. And even now, you know, I'm looking at things like Wiggle, you know, like talking about Nathan Coles again, may he rest in peace. He's bought his twin sons, Josh and Fabian, have teamed up with another lad, Harvey Beach's son, and they're now called Three Minds, and they've taken over Wiggle.
Oh, right, okay. So
and
now
the Wiggle parties are still going on with 300 people, but instead of it being 300 silver acid backs,
silver acid backs,
instead of being 300, it's 250 kids in their 20s.
Oh wow! So
Yeah,
but they're still playing the same music.
Yeah, underground.
Brilliant.
I love
that.
And Terry Francis will still play, and they'll still have Eddie Richards, but they'll get like Heavenly. They'll have Three Minds. They'll have Ollie Drummond. These are all kids in their 20s and early 30s.
Okay, wow.
You know,
so
and these people are
faith in the youth,
like there's great producers. All those kids I mentioned, Jake Beautyman. Yeah. There's all these youngsters that are coming through that are kids of us old lot.
Okay.
And they're coming through, and they know what's up.
Right.
So there is still.
They've seen you guys go through it.
Yes. So there is still hope, and these kids are bang into it.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's have it right. It's very small. It's very underground, as it was when we were doing it in the 80s.
Yeah.
But these kids are bang into it, and they've got their labels, and they're making their productions, and they will not let it lie. So the future is bright.
Yeah.
But all we've got to do is do it the right way, and not, you know, it's up to, you know, every single artist that people love out there. Every single one of those artists were a bedroom DJ.
Yeah.
Every one of those artists, no one knew, and they got supported. Yeah. So support your local talent, support your local DJs, support those that are doing something a bit different. This is about not being a sheep and paying 50 quid to listen to generic worm fodder.
Yeah.
Go and support the underground, the new kids, you know, go and support what's good. in your hometown from your local talent.
Yeah,
And
I love
then
this.
we will have a healthy future.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. Do you know what? I think that's probably the perfect way to end this. Like, that's been absolutely amazing. I've love listening to all the stories, and that was almost like a battle cry,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And I can still feel the passion in there
Yeah.
of just like, you've had an amazing career, and you still love what you do,
Yeah.
and still doing it. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, you're a true voice of the underground. I feel like you're still pushing boundaries, still
Yeah.
supporting the underground,
Yeah.
and
Well, I can't
and
have
still
it
making dance floors move. Like, you still enjoy DJing
well, I
as well.
can't have it any other way. You know, I've always liked underground's music. I'm not all of a sudden going to like commercial music. And some people say, "Oh, he's a hypocrite. He done Ebenezer good."
Yeah.
Have you heard all the remixes?
Loads of them out there.
There's loads of them. And like, you know, getting like, if you listen to Richie Hawtin's South of Detroit instrumental and tell me that's anything but the most underground track you've heard in ages of Ebenezer Good. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Like, and it was all of that, right? But for me, you know, I'm passionate about music. I'm passionate about underground music. I'm passionate about the roots. You know, I'm proud to, as a house music DJ, techno music DJ, about what I do. And you know, there's a lot of whitewashing going on in the scene, you know, from the people that started it, the originators from Chicago, the originators from New York, the originators from Detroit. You know, they don't get spoke about enough. A lot of them are lazy, and they need to up their own games.
Yeah.
If they want to remain relevant, make a tune, make some tunes, put them out. Stop thinking that the world owes you a living, because all those originators, the world does not owe you a living either.
It's moved on now.
So you've still got to raise your game. If you want to be involved, do something, put on some events, put stuff out on your label, even if it's from the youngsters. Keep yourself relevant in the same way Carl Craig has kept himself relevant.
Yeah.
Or Derek Carter has kept himself relevant. You know, they're two originators. Yeah, they're old school. They're still doing it.
Yeah.
And people crying about, oh, it's all being whitewashed. Get off your lazy ass and do something about it, and stop moaning like a Karen.
Perfect. I think that's the perfect place to end it. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Hi guys, if you loved this conversation, make sure you subscribe, rate it, share this episode. We've got lots more pioneers, disruptors coming on. Until next time, keep it loud, keep it unfiltered.